Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all of you. We, as a group 6, will be present to all of you for today about determination of KIBLAH. So without waste our time, let's proceed to the next slide. So for today's presentation will be prepared by Nurfaika Hazwani binti Ghazali, Nazira binti Abdul Rashid, Humaira Husnul Khatimah binti Syafi'i, Muhammad Zahin Najwan bin Muhammad Zaki, Ahmad Izzat bin Ahmad Zaki, and Muhammad Hazi bin Zulkifli. Therefore, please enjoy watching while listening to today's learning.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurfaika Hazwani binti Ghazali. I will start our presenting with introduction. Determining the direction of Qibla is the process of determining one direction facing the direction of Qibla through any point on the earth. Determining the direction of Qibla is one of the most important requirements that every Muslim must know in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The obligation for all Muslims to face the Qibla while performing ibadah 5 times a day has made astronomers, geographers, and mathematicians use their mind to solve the problem that arise. This science cannot be spread from life as the solution to the problem of determining the direction of Qibla arise. This study is conducted to classify the claimed Qibla as described in the Dalil Naqli and will analyze the ways of determining the direction of Qibla in overcoming the problem of Qibla. The method studied are related to science, mathematics, and geography. In this advanced technology, there are many modern methods that can be used. However, for Muslims who do not have the equipment, they can also use other alternatives such as traditional method, sky condition, and others.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nazira binti Abdul Rashid, and I would like to give you an understanding about the determination of Qiblah according to Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. Okay, first of all, what is Qiblah? Qiblah is an Arabic word, al-Qiblatu, which means directions. Qiblah itself is the Kaabah. When Muslims are facing the Qiblah, that means they are facing the direction of Kaabah from any point, wherever they are, even they are at Malaysia or United States or any other country. Qiblah is the Kaabah, and Kaabah is the most sacred place for Muslims in the world. It is located at Masjid Al-Haram in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Qiblah is a must to be faced when Muslims are going to perform their prayers 5 times a day. If they didn't face the Qiblah, then their prayers were not valid, as it was one of the valid conditions of prayers. The main point, the objective of Qiblah is for the unity of directions for Muslims all over the world. Next, we move to the dalil of Qiblah according to Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن حيث خرجت فول وجهك شطر المسجد الحرام وإنه للحق من ربك وما الله بغافل عما تعملون. Sadaqallahul Azim. The meaning: wherever you are, O Prophet, turn your face towards the sacred mosque. This is certainly the truth from your Lord, and Allah is never unaware of what you all do. Surah Al-Baqarah, verses 149. The Prophet Muhammad SAW also said in the hadith reported by Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, a person entered the mosque and said prayer while the Messenger of Allah SAW was sitting in a nook of the mosque. He said, إذا قمت إلى الصلاة فأسبغ الوضوء ثم استقبل القبلة فكبر. meaning when you get up to pray, perform the ablution completely and then turn towards the Qiblah and recite takbir, Allahu Akbar. Allah is the most great. Sahih Muslim number 397. Next, let me tell you the importance of knowing this direction. First, it is an obligation when Muslims perform the prayers, prostrate in gratitude, and bury a dead body. Besides that, it is only recommended if Muslims want to recite Al-Quran, zikir, or even sleep. Lastly, it is prohibited to face the Qiblah if Muslim wants to defecate. So, how can we determine the direction of Qiblah? Basically, there are many ways to determine the direction of Qiblah, but some of them is like we can use the Qiblah direction, prayer times by using the mathematical formulation, the software that contains GPS information, or any astronomical instruments such as astrolabe, microcontroller, and digital compass. The further details will be explained by my group members. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thanks to Nazira who is giving turn to me for continuous on my path, and very thanks to my beloved friends and my lecturer for this subject, Ustaz Muhammad Paidi, for hearing our presentation. Let me introduce myself, named is Muhammad Haziq. So today I would like to describe about accuracy of determination for Qiblah. As we already know that the legal or valid condition of prayer is facing the Qibla towards the Masjid al-Haram Makkah al-Mukarramah, and all of scholars such as the scholars of the Mazhab Hanafi, Hanbali, Maliki and Shafi'i have agreed on it. So as Muslims who know this ruling must obey and follow what is commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any reason to deny it, because it is clear in the Quran state in the Surah Al-Baqarah verse 150 has been commanded to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Muslims to face the Masjid al-Haram as the Qibla in performing prayers and other acts of worship. The event of the change of Qibla from Masjid al-Aqsa to Kaabah Baitul Haram is also in hadith narrated by Al-Barra. Indeed, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam prayed facing Baitul Maqdis for 16 or 17 months. He preferred to face the Kaaba. Then the Prophet prayed Asr with his companions. After that, one of the companions went out and went through the Muslims in a mosque, which at that time they were bowing. The companion said, I bear witness to Allah that I have prayed with the Prophet ﷺ facing Mecca. They immediately turned in the state of prayer facing the new Qibla. The hadith narrated by Al-Bukhari. At the time, the direction of Qibla to the Kaaba was determined based on revelation. Scholars argue that the companions who were praying Asr behind the Prophet only followed his action. They changed direction and turned around in the mosque now known as the Masjidul Qiblatain. During the early 2nd century of Islam, mosques were built at different geographical positions. Muslims at that time did not have sufficient background and scientific studies to find the right Qibla direction. Beginning in the 8th century, Islamic astronomers were interested and wanted to know about the determination of direction of Qibla, who had problems with geographical mathematical calculations, including wanting to correct the geographical calculation of the earth by producing accurate theories and formulas based on geographical observation of the earth. For example, the trigonometric formulas used to determine the Qibla from all directions on earth was introduced by a Syrian astronomer named Shamsuddin al-Khalili. On the basis of determining the direction of Qiblat when in the mosque or being anywhere, then it is necessary for a person to follow the prescribed method to confirm the correct Qiblat according to the views of the Shafi'i school. Here are three methods of determining the condition of facing the Qiblat. Firstly, if a person who is in the Masjid al-Haram either sees the Baitullah al-Haram, Kaaba, or not, it is obligatory for him to turn his face toward the Kaaba with full confidence. Such duty may be ascertained in advance by seeing or touching it for the visually impaired or in any other ascertainable manner, so long as there is confidence. Determining the Qiblat in this way is called confidence Qiblat. Secondly, if a person who is far from the Baitullah Kaaba, that is outside of the Masjid al-Haram and around the Holy Land of Mecca, should face the Masjid al-Haram with the intention of the Kaaba and Zani only and rely on his ijtihad. Therefore, this method is called Qiblat Zani, or in other words, the conjecture and signs of possible position in place. This method can be known through inquiries to those who are knowledgeable, such as the people of Makkah. Thirdly, for a person who is outside of the Masjid al-Haram and outside of the Holy Land of Makkah should face the Holy Land of Makkah with the intention of facing the Masjid al-Haram or the Kaaba. This method is sufficient to implement the requirements of Islamic law when establishing prayers and other acts of worship. All this considered as ijtihad, that is earnestness in observing the determination of the direction of Qiblat according to the Sharia based on the events of the Quran. For distant places such as the Malaysia, the ijtihad of the Qiblat direction can be determined through astronomical calculations by using appropriate equipment such as compass, theodolites, and even wine shades. The Qiblat direction can also be determined based on the position of the sun and stars. The above methods are used by Muslims around the world until now. In Malaysia, the party responsible and authorized to check and have the right to confirm the true Qiblat direction is the Department of Survey and Mapping Malaysia and the Fatwa Department of the state in Malaysia. Based on the calculations and certain equipment and specific skills, such as the use of mathematical knowledge. In addition, to find out the Qiblat determination on use in Malaysia in particular is to use azimuth or degrees between 291 degrees to 219 degrees from the north because the change in the setting of the sun is due to the tilt of the earth axis with the plane of orbit, and also the rotation of the earth around the sun. According to Ustad Hadi Sadali as the head of the astronomy division, Selangor Mufti Department, this method to determine the accuracy of the Qiblat position in Malaysia is through the calculation of spherical trigonometry. It uses a special formula to get the angle of the Qiblat direction. This calculation is to get the azimuth of Qiblat, which is the direction of a desired location to the Kaaba from the north of the earth. This formula is the legacy of past astronomers such as Al-Khwarizmi, Al-Biruni, and others. There is also a method used to know the daily movement of the sun, where there is a period and situation where the sun will be right above the Kaaba and or referred to as Istiwa Azam, that is all the shadows of an upright object appear towards the Kaaba, and it only happens on 28th May on the time 5:60 p.m. and 19:06 and 16 July 5:28 p.m. each year. On last for this part, I can conclude about ijtihad in finding accuracy in determining the direction of Qiblat must be done in the best way that we as Muslims can afford. Facing the Qiblat is a valid condition of praying 5 times a day and other sunnah prayers. With the development of modern technology and equipment today, the determination and marking of the Qiblat direction can be implemented more perfectly and accurately, and it is in line with the technology and methods practices now are the results of improvement from previous methods. And yeah, that's all from me. For the next part, others member will be continue in details. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Muhammad Zahid Najwan bin Muhammad Zaki, and it is my turn to presenting to you about traditional method in finding Qiblah. Do you guys know why we call it as the traditional method? So, before the development of astronomy in the Islamic world, Muslims used traditional method to determine the Qiblah. This method includes facing the direction that the companions of the Prophet Muhammad had used when in the same place, whether using the setting and rising points of celestial objects, or using one direction, or using the southern direction, which is the Qibla of the Prophet Muhammad in Medina. In Italy, this astronomer's Qibla was used in conjunction with various traditionally determined Qiblas, resulting in much diversity in Islamic cities in the Middle Ages. One of the methods is by ijtihad, as the hadith narrated by Imam at-Tirmizi. We used to be with the Prophet ﷺ on a journey in the dark of night. So we do not know where the direction of Qibla. So each of us prays according to their respective belief. Then in the morning we told it to the Almighty Prophet ﷺ. Then the verse came down. Whichever direction you face, then there is the face of Allah. Narrated by Imam at-Tirmizi. So guys, one of the traditional method in finding Qiblah is using the tree moss. Moss is a plant that grows in moist areas and often does not like hot surface. Not all types of moss will block the rays of the rising sun, which means it grows facing the rising sun, which is to the east. There are also that grow away from sunrise or sunset. This means it will grow north and south area. The way to overcome this is to feel which side of the tree or rock is hotter, and the answer is more accurate if done at dusk or at night. If the night is next to the hot part, that is the west direction, it can also be ascertained by examining other mosses, such as finding 8 to 10 examples of mossy plants to be able to be sure of the exact north direction we are looking for. Moss under the canopy and moss exposed to the sun may show different effects. Perhaps the moss in areas that receive less sunlight will grow thicker to the east, and those that receive more sunlight will grow thicker to the west. The second of the traditional method is using the constellation. Before that, let me tell you what is the constellation. A constellation is a group of stars that are in an area of the sky and have a similar shape and appear close to each other. Second, a star constellation follows easily identifiable shapes such as animal shapes and geometry shapes. By knowing the shape of a particular star constellation, the north direction and the direction of Qibla from a place can be determined, as was said in Surah An-Nahl, verse 16, which is the translation is also by landmarks and stars do people find their way. One of the constellation is we call as Orion. Among the constellations that point directly to the Qibla is the constellation Orion, which is also known as the constellation Al-Babadur. This constellation is easy to detect because it consists of three bright stars that are positioned in parallel, which is in a row. As we can see at the picture, the three bright stars called Al-Nitak, Al-Nilam and Mintaka, as well as surrounded by several other bright stars. Qibla direction formulation and the surrounding country can be determined by projecting the three stars in the direction west. The constellation Orion is in the Malaysian sky during the dawn time in July and look high in the sky at midnight in December. In March, this constellation is in the middle of the sky at Maghrib time. The second constellation is we call it as Big Dipper. The star that is often used for determining the direction of the north is the star Polaris, or also known as the star Al-Qutbi and the star of the polar. It is so named because it coincides with the axis of rotation of the Earth, which is North Pole, and the direction of two parallel stars in the constellation Orion. Thus, the star can provide a guide for us to determine the true north direction from any place on this Earth. The star Qutbi is located in the constellation of Ursa Minor, but is more easily identified through the constellation Ursa Major, which is Flow constellation. This constellation can be detected during midnight in July to December. After determining the north direction with the guidance of the star Polaris, the direction of Qibla can be determined based on the difference in angle of 68 degrees to the left of the position of the star. Like at the picture, the angle difference can be made using the finger angle method, as we can see the method in the picture given. Although the use of the Polaris star is less popular in Malaysia and around Asia countries than other stars because of its low position and the horizon, which is quite difficult to. The next traditional method is using the sun dial. This method was used by the Muslim human and travelers in ancient times in their journey to performing the duty of prayer. Otherwise, this method only works in the presence of the suns and only using environmentally friendly and readily material such as tree branches, sand, and soil surface. Now we go to the how we want to use this sundial method. For the step 1, find level ground and before noon, place a stick or other vertical object that is about 3 feet, which is 1 meter high. Step 2, make a mark on the ground at the tip of the shadow. Step 3. Measure the length of the shadow and draw a circle around the stick using the shadow length as the radius. Step 4. As the day progresses, the shadow will shorten and move away from the circle. It will eventually start to lengthen as the day wears on. And then touch the circle again. At that point, make another mark and draw a line between the two marks you made. Then the line is west to east with the first point being west, the second being east. And the last step is draw a line perpendicular to the west-east line. And this is your north-south line. We also have another fairly well-known method to use to find the Qibla in traditional method. However, it will be explained in Istiwa Al-Azam shortly. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Faika Hazwani binti Ghazali. So now I will presenting about the calculation method of direction Qiblah. The issue for Muslim is to get the correct Qiblah direction, but this can be solved by using mathematical methods. Mathematics and science are inseparable, and even to know correction, it is necessary to use these two sciences and intersecting with the reality of life. Mathematics is the mother and also the basic of science. Muslims are obligated to face the Qiblah as required in the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet, but there is no specific way to know the correct Qiblah. Therefore, it requires a specific method to deal with this issue. The way to determine the direction of Qiblah is to require 2 points of the earth, which is from one location towards the Kaabah. The calculation uses the specific method of trigonometry. Okay, so the trigonometry is a branch of mathematics that deals with the relation of the sides and angle of a triangle and with the relevant function of any angle. There are several studies that have been done to find the exact Qiblah direction. Among the studies made using the sinus consonant method, additional angle, analogy Napier, and Harrison. All 4 studies conducted found that the calculation method using the Harrison formula is more accurate in finding the direction of Qiblah. According to John Sinder, the Earth is neither spiral nor ellipsoid in shape, but the shape of the Earth is geoid, where all measurements are according to sea level in general. The shape of geoid is spherical and flattened on the polar side. The shape is similar to an ellipsoid. In addition, the calculation of latitude, longitude and coordinate is determined based on the shape of the ellipsoid. Dr. Jamil says that the geocentric or center of the Earth is the distance between the center and the surface of Earth. So basically, this is our situation when facing the Qiblah. When we are in the north of Mecca, we have to face south of Mecca and vice versa. The Harrison formula is to determine the distance of a large circle between 2 points on a spiral based on its longitude and latitude. So important in navigation, it is a special case of a formula more common in spherical trigonometry, the law of Harrison, which is relate the side and angle of a spherical triangle. The length of the Earth's arc has a difference in latitude between north and south, which is about 60 nautical miles, 111 kilometers, or 69 miles. When a degree undergoes a change, and the poles, it will be 1% more distant than a change of 1 degree at the equator. So, whereas the difference in the length of the degree of arc on the longitude between east and west is the more or less the same and decrease to 0 at the poles. So next, I will share a little bit about the analysis of the Hevesian formula. So basically, Hevesian formula from Hevesian B equal to 1 divide 2 1 minus cos B. So the last equation is the equation used as the calculation of the Qibla direction in a place at point B, which is A minus B, A plus B minus C equal to S minus 2C equal to S minus C. B plus C minus A equal to S minus 2A equal to S minus A. With the example of the S value, the equation become sin A, sin C have a sin B equal to sin C minus C, S minus C, sin S minus A. Then we have a sin B equal to sin S minus C, sin S minus A. Divide to sin A, sin C. Based on discussion, the conclusion to the calculation of the Qibla direction from a place at point B to Kaabah, there are various methods to obtain the distance between the Masjid al-Haram and the mosque of our district and can reduce the risk if there is a deviation in the direction of our Qibla. Therefore, the most acceptable distance is the introduced with the Hevesian formula will give the close relative error in the arrangement of the flatness of the earth, which will increase the accuracy in calculation. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Myra Husnul Hatimah binti Syafi'i. So today I would like to present about principles of celestial navigation. For each hour of the year, nautical almanac gives longitude and latitude. Longitude, which is Greenwich hour angle, and latitude, which is declination of main celestial bodies on the celestial sphere. Essentially, the coordinates on the celestial sphere are same as the coordinates of the point on Earth above which the celestial objects are directly overhead, which is zenith. The point on Earth are the geographic positions or GPs of the celestial objects. The celestial objects position in the celestial sphere and the point on Earth above which they are at the precise time of sight are easily calculated by interpolation, knowing them for each hour of the year from the almanac. Given the coordinate of the GPs, the location of the points on Earth above which the celestial object are, one can determine a circle of position from which the celestial object can be seen at the angle measured with the sextant. The roundness of the Earth allows the drawing of circles of position around the GP of celestial objects. This is the basic principles on how we want to know where we are in the Earth. The closer to the Sun's GP, the larger the angle, but the further away to the Sun's GP, the smaller the angle. The height of the celestial body above the horizon will have to be measured with a precision of 1 minute of 1 nautical mile or better. Hence, the use of the sextant to determine the circle of position around the GP of the celestial body. The longitude of the sign around the Earth, which is GHA, which is Greenwich hour angle, is determined by the time on the side. Knowing that it crosses the Greenwich meridian at approximately 12 afternoon and appears to be turning around the Earth at a rate of 15 degrees per hour. The latitude of the GP of the sign and other celestial bodies north or south of the equator is shown in the almanac as the declination. The Z angle, which is 90 degrees minus the altitude that we measure with our sextants, that translates into the radius of the circle of position around the GP. From 2 or 3 sides, we can obtain 2 or 3 circle of position around a GP, hence our position.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to all of you. My name is Ahmad Izzat bin Ahmad Zaki, and for this part I will present to all of you about my topic, which is about Istiwa Azamul Qiblah. So let's proceed to the next slide. What is meant by Istiwa Azam? In general, Istiwa Azam is one of the traditional method in determining the direction of Qiblah that can be done manually or practically wherever we are, and must be done on the day and time that has been set. Istiwa Azam is a phenomenon where the position of the sun is upright, that is parallel to the construction of the Kaabah building. This phenomenon of Istiwa Azam will occur at noon in Makkah because at that time the sun will be at the zenith point right above the position of the Kaabah. From this event or from this phenomena, there will be the formation of a shadow parallel to the direction of Qiblah, which can shows the direction of Qiblah accurately to any countries that has daily light on that day, including Malaysia. So furthermore, based on astronomical calculations, when the position of the sun is directly above the Kaabah, then the angle declination value of the sun will be equal to the value of the latitude of Makkah, which is at 21 degree 25 minutes and 50 seconds and 21 degree 25 minutes and 15.6 seconds respectively. Declination means the distance between the Earth's equator to the height of the North Pole or to the height of the South Pole, that is between the reading of 0 degrees to 90 degrees only. The formation of any shadows of an object with a 90 degree right angle located anywhere in the country with a latitude of 0 degrees to 23 degrees will automatically face towards the Kaaba when this phenomenon occurs. Is the Istiwa Azam event took place in the Malaysia only? So the answer is no. This is because there are also several countries that can experience this Istiwa Azam phenomenon, such as in Indonesia, Thailand, Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, India, Oman, and etc. Therefore, there are several differences in the use of terminology for this phenomenon in each country that can experience it. So for example, in Indonesian, which call this event as a Rushdul Qiblah, while in the Arabic countries it is called as Ta'amud Ash-Shams, and in the Western countries this phenomenon is better known as the holiest shrine. When Istiwa occurs, the country that is experiencing daylight at that time can check the direction of Qiblah because it receives sunlight, while the country that is in the opposite position cannot do this Istiwa. Otherwise, it should be noted that only countries located between latitude 0 degrees to plus minus 23.5 degrees will experience this phenomenon. Why did it happen that way? This is because the maximum solar declination value is recovered only up to plus minus 23.5 degrees. So next, this phenomenon will occur twice a year, which is on May 28th at 5:16 p.m. based on local time, or on May 27 if leap year. And the second phase is on July 16 at 5:28 p.m. based on local time, or July 15 if a leap year. The phenomenon of Istiwa Azam will also occur according to the time zone of each country. We already know that Istiwa Azam will take place in our country, Malaysia, on the day and time period that has been set as stated before. In fact, this event will only happen on the same day, but it will be different at the times occur. This difference happens due to two main factors, which is first is based on the time zone of the country, and the second factor is due to daylight savings time. For example, our country Malaysia will experience this Istiwa Azam event at 5:16 p.m. and not according to the time of the Istiwa Azam in Mecca, which is at noon. Why there is such a time gap in this case? This is because the calculation of time for the occurrence of Istiwa Azam is based on the time zone or the latitude recitation of each country. Furthermore, the time zone difference between Malaysia and the time zone in Mecca is plus minus 5 hours, which shows that the time in Mecca and the time in Malaysia is not same and very different. So the second factor is due to the daylight saving time. For example, there are some countries that experience a time delay of 1 hour in the fall season and a time delay of 1 hour in the summer season in their daily time. The daylight saving time phenomenon has caused a time difference in determining when the appropriate period for the Istiwa Azam phenomenon occurs in countries that experience the fall and summer seasons. Next, for the method of Istiwa Azam, I will explain with the guideline on how to check the Qibla direction manually. First step, set up a straight object or guide a vertical straight object such as a pillar or a window frame or anything else to check the Qibla direction. And the second thing is, the place chosen for this purpose is not protected from sunlight. Since the sun is in the western sky, the shadow will fall to the east. So the direction of the Qibla is the shadow facing to the west. And lastly, make sure and please double check that the clock or time is accurate when checking the Qibla direction. So as a result, the correct Qibla direction will be produced and can be used especially when performing prayers or other acts of worship that require facing to the Qibla, such as slaughtering the cows or burying people facing to the Qibla, and etc. And last but not least from me, I will expose what are some benefits that can we grab or gain in conjunction with this phenomenon of Istiwa Azam. So the first benefit is Islam as a religion that is easy and not difficult for its people. All Muslims can determine the direction of Qibla wherever they are based on the direction of the resulting shadow, accurately parallel facing to the Kaabah without having to make a specific calculation to determine the correct direction. So the next benefit is the determination of the correct and accurate Qibla is the reason why our prayers are accepted by Allah SWT. We are able to complete our prayers legally according to the direction of the Qibla that is fixed and accurately facing to the Kaabah. In addition, the facing the Kaabah is a valid condition of our prayer. The last one is, of course, it will be as a sign of the greatest and mercy of Allah SWT for His favors and blessing to His servants in providing facilities to Muslims to determine the correct Qibla direction without hesitation.
Alhamdulillah, finally we have arrived to the conclusion. So the conclusion is the prayer is an obligation in Islam, and one of the legal conditions in prayer is facing to the Qibla. Muslims today should feel grateful for having state of the modern technology and mobile application to get the correct Qibla direction. So there is no reason for us to avoiding from praying because not finding the Qibla direction. Otherwise, it is not wrong for us to learn the traditional way in finding the Qibla direction because it is closely related to the science of astronomy. Not only that, seeking knowledge is an obligatory act of worship in Islam because it can increase one's dignity. So I think that's all from us. The good thing came from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and the bad things came from us. So thank you for listening and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye.
Thank you, shukran jazilan wa alfu shukran to all of you for listening and watching our presentation today. So if you guys have any question, please text us in the group Telegram. Goodbye and thank you so much.